my co-host tonight, the Grinch who stole Christmas. And as you can see, he has had enough. This was actually a meme that went viral today in response to the announcement from Dr. Seuss Enterprises that 6 Dr. Seuss books would no longer be sold. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. We can see that. But trust me, we get it. The now canceled titles include the very first Dr. Seuss book, And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street. Now, to clarify, Dr. Seuss Enterprises didn't want to do this. This had been pushed on them for a long time by the cancel culture mob. We flipped through this book, this first published book from way back in 1937. Here is what is considered offensive by the crybabies that have taken over our society. A caricature of an Indian man riding an elephant. A caricature of a Chinese man eating with chopsticks. Shocking, isn't it? I've been to China. You know what I found? People eat with chopsticks. Who knew? If you lived in Shanghai as an American and saw a kid's book there that showed an American running around eating with a fork, would you be offended? Do you think Chinese people are offended by any of this? Of course not. 99.9% of Chinese people couldn't care less about any of this. But white American kids at liberal universities are outraged. And that's what this is all about. It reminds me of this now classic moment from last summer.
This is not a black woman who's put in Black Lives Matter. I just want you to know that when, right, but y'all doing that for us and we ain't asked you to do that. Listen, don't spray stuff on here when they gonna blame black people for this and black people didn't do it.
It's incredible, right? Something that happened actually quite often. The actual alleged victims of society, in this case black people living in this neighborhood, don't consider themselves victims at all and are actually mad at the white Antifa wannabe female college students for spray painting private property. Same principle here. The ones making all the noise are not Chinese or Indian. It's just not the way it is. Over at CNN, host Brian Stelter says that we on the right are way too focused on cancel culture. He thinks it's a right-wing obsession and isn't even real.
Disney slapping a disclaimer on old episodes of The Muppet Show that most people will never even watch. Hasbro rebranding Mr. Potato Head to promote inclusion. Democrats and Republicans battling over mean old tweets posted by a Biden nominee. All of these do matter a little. You might argue they symbolize bigger changes in the culture, okay. But there's something wrong when so-called cancel culture gets more attention than the struggles that millions of Americans are facing and the importance of a COVID relief deal.
The network that spent all its time talking about Stormy Daniels now really wants to do the solemn, hard-hitting stories, says Brian Stelter. It doesn't get any dumber than this. Another mainstream liberal with a way bigger voice and a way bigger brain, by the way, could not disagree with Stelter more. Here is Bill Maher from last weekend.
And finally, new rule, liberals need a stand your ground law for cancel culture, so that when the woke mob comes after you for some ridiculous offense, you'll stand your ground. Stop apologizing, because I can't keep up anymore with who's on the list. Cancel culture is real, it's insane, and it's growing exponentially, and it's coming to a neighborhood near you.
He's right. Stelter's wrong. The truth is, a huge chunk of Democrats actually agree with Bill Maher. They do. But there's no coalition of anti-cancel culture people to fight the morons that are shoving all this down our throat. 0.2% of the country, a bunch of weenies out there, have somehow wrangled incredible power over all of us with this. And we're just sitting here taking it. It's getting worse every day. What's funny is how selective it all is. I watch old reruns of funny TV shows all the time because nothing really is funny anymore. It's not allowed to be in Hollywood. I see content in countless programs from the 80s, 90s, even 2000s that by today's standards would be canceled immediately if the right people saw it and made enough noise. Imagine what will be cancelable in 5 years. They're going to have to cancel the entire history of this country. To prove how stupid all of this is, here is the hero of the left, Barack Obama, talking about Dr. Seuss. This was 2 years ago.
Most of what you need to learn, you can actually just read Dr. Seuss.
And here's Obama's wife reading Dr. Seuss to school kids.
Hi. Hi, Cat in the Hat. Hi, Thing 1 and Thing 2. Welcome to the White House. What's going on? You know who saw this book this morning before he got on a helicopter? The president. We love Dr. Seuss in our house.
And here's what happened when Melania Trump tried to donate Dr. Seuss books to an elementary school in Massachusetts in 2017. Here's the headline. Elementary school librarian rejects First Lady Melania Trump's donation of Dr. Seuss books because they are tired and cliche. And here's the librarian right there. Look at that face. How'd you like to deal with her every day? In this case, it was all politics. And to be honest, I thought a lot of this was just Trump derangement, lunacy. I thought a lot of this would die down after Biden got into office. I think a lot of people felt that way. It's not. It's actually getting worse because the current White House is happy to play along with these people's psychotic views on society. The Biden administration and their Department of Education has now removed Dr. Seuss books from National Read Across America Day. The hilarious irony, Read Across America Day, which is always held on March 2nd, today, and it's held this day because it's Dr. Seuss's birthday. How funny is that? The White House today, of course, knowing how stupid all this sounds, dodged the question as expected.
The proclamation was written by the Department of Education, and you could certainly speak to them about more specifics about the drafting of it. The day is also a chance to celebrate diverse authors whose work and lived experience reflect the diversity of our country.
Great non-answer. She's a pro at the non-answer. I mean, she's good. An embarrassing day for common sense in this country, but luckily the regular people out there got to have a little fun with it on Twitter. We showed you the Grinch giving the bird. How about this one? Horton hears a microaggression. That'd be a good kid's book. It's coming soon, don't worry. In defense of Dr. Seuss, who died years ago, his stepdaughter stated that Dr. Seuss did not have a racist bone in his body. That won't matter. His books will begin disappearing from elementary schools all over the country. Kids will not grow up reading these stories anymore. They'll be reading Marxist garbage that teaches equality of outcome approved by your school district's new racial equity czar. Sad.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.